Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to another video in my 2023 releases series. I've done two so far, so I've done my most anticipated games for this year, 2024. I've done my top 10 favorite lighter party game, card game, just lighter complexity games. And then today we're going to be doing my top 10 heavier, like Euro style game. A lot of these are Euros. There's actually one cooperative game on the list, which I'm very surprised about because I'm not the hugest fan of cooperative games. So you know that cooperative game is good if it gets into a top 10 list. But yeah, we're gonna get right into this. This video is not going to be too crazy long, hopefully, and I'm just gonna quickly go through all of my top 10 heavier games that were released in 2023. So if you guys are interested in that, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And without further ado, also, put in the comment section all of your favorite heavier games that were released in 2023. Let me know maybe your top 3 down in the comment section. I'd love to read those. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into my top 10 heavier Euro style games for 2023. All right, so getting into number 10, which I will at the end of this top 10. I'm going to quickly go into 3 games that, or maybe I should do that now. Let me do that now. So there are 3 games that I played. I do not own them, but they are games that I played only once. And I feel like these 3 that I played, if I played them more, they would probably be in this top 10 as well. I mentioned this in my other video, but basically, if I only played it once, then I didn't put it into the ranking because I wanted the games to be games that I played quite a few times. So I think I played all of these at least 3 times multiplayer. So starting off with the first one, that game is Evacuation. So I played this with a few of my friends, Kat, Steph, and Donna. We actually got together just randomly on a Wednesday and played Evacuation. And that is actually the day that they gave me this here. It is this little fake plaque, basically. I was telling them that I was really excited that I hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. So they surprised me with this little plaque here. It was really cute. I have the most wonderful friends. But yes, we played Evacuation, and it is, such a good game. It is from Delicious Games, and it is basically a game where you are trying to evacuate this dying planet and get everything onto this other planet. So it's this very cool board where you have these 2 planets. You're starting with all of your resources and people and stuff on one planet, and you are working the entire game to get everything or transfer everything over to the new thriving planet. There's also this very cool track in the middle that, based off of the actions that you take each round, you're going to be going up that track a certain amount of spaces, and that's going to give you some different icons that you can use in the next round, and it's going to allow you to, the closer you get to the center of that track, you can start to use resources from the new planet as well as the old planet. So it's really cool because you're starting having to only use the resources from the old planet, and then you're slowly transferring things over to the new planet and using resources from the new planet. And your player board is also kind of split, where all your resources are on one side for the old planet, and then all your resources are on the other side for the new planet, and you have these spaceships that are going across. Each player also has these different player powers that you can upgrade, and such a good game. Like I said, I only played it once, so if I do get a chance to play this one more, it'll definitely go higher in my rankings. And yeah, I would also love to try it solo. I believe there is a solo, so yeah, that is Evacuation. The second one is a game called Arborea, or I think it's Arborea. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a game from Alley Cat Games, and this game is beautiful. I love the look of this game. It's basically like a moving track game where you are trying to get these different creatures to come onto your little tableau, and based off of the different plants on your tableau, the creatures are going to be able to be placed in certain spots and score at the end of the game. You're building out this tableau with these cards of different colored plants, and then there's this big, huge board. It is beautiful. It's bright, colorful. Each of the different creatures are a different color. And a really cool part of this game, there's actually 2 cool parts. One is that they have these moving tracks. So basically, think of Sulkin, the Mayan calendar. That is one that I've only played on BGA, but basically it has that thing where you place a worker on a track, and then each round that track, or on each player's turn, that track's going to be moving. So the longer that you keep your worker on that track, the more spaces that that player is going to, or your player or your worker is going to move, and then you're going to be able to then like release your worker from that spot and gain all of these different things. Really love that like worker track movement thing. But then also there is shared resources. So there's this very cool mechanism where you can gain resources, and then you can either choose to spend those resources, or you can decide to actually like just leave the resources for other people and make money for like producing those resources. So you have this like communal resource. So you could be deciding to, you know, gain all these resources for yourself, or you could decide to, you know, leave them for your other opponents and get some money. So I think that's a very cool little mechanism there, and I would love to play Arborea more. But that's Arborea. And then the third one is Age of Innovation, which this is a game that is based off of, I believe, the other like Terra Mystica, Terra Nova, those games, which I've never played any of those games, but Age of Innovation was very fun. I love the whole concept of choosing a terrain type and then choosing a like faction, and you can kind of mix and match those things. It's a little bit complicated to explain, but basically you're going to be building out your little like towns or villages out on this map. So you're going to be terraforming those spaces and then building on those spaces, and there's a bunch to the game. It's a very big game, but you're going to be doing a lot of chaining of different things. There's this really cool mechanism where you are using these different chips in this little like 3 space where you have to move them up into one section and then move them into the third section, or in order to like spend them, and then you'll move them back down to the bottom section. So that's kind of this like circular, you know, generation of these resources that you're going to be using throughout the game. And you're building out these buildings, and those buildings are going to get you different things and these cool like tiles, and you're going up these tracks, and it is just a fabulous game. Again, I've never played Terra Mystica or any of those games. I haven't played Gaia Project either, but I've been told that a lot of them are similar, and I do think that some people have said that Age of Innovation is the best one so far. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely fantastic, and I am looking forward to hopefully playing it more in the future. But yeah, those were the 3 that I quickly wanted to mention before we get into the top 10. This video, I can already tell, is going to be very long, so we're going to quickly go through this top 10. I don't want to like super explain each game, so maybe I'll just go into just like a quick reason why I enjoyed the game. Obviously it's on my top 10, so if it's here, then I would definitely recommend checking it out if it's something that kind of sparks your interest. But yeah, let's get into the top 10. All right, so moving into my number 10. This is a game that a lot of people talked about this year. It was a very popular game, and I absolutely love this game. And yes, it is number 10, but this year, or last year, I guess, 2023, had so many good games. And this game actually is coming out with an expansion sometime soon. And this is a game that I absolutely love, and that is Earth. So Earth is a tableau building game where you are just trying to get the most victory points as possible. I love the not so much simultaneous, I guess it is, but basically on your turn, you are choosing an action for everyone to take. The action is stronger for you, and then everyone else gets to take a similar action, but not as strong. So you're constantly doing something in this game. You're never like waiting for anyone. I guess you are if like someone takes a little bit longer to take their turn, but I love just trying to find the best way to build out your tableau and try to get the most victory points. This one actually I recently played again. It's been a bit since I played this, and then we just recently played it last weekend, and it just reminded me how much I love Earth. It is a fantastic game, and that is why it is my number 10. Moving on to game number 9. This is a game from Pandasaurus Games, and this is the Fox Experiment. So this is quite a unique game. It kind of gives me the feeling of a roll and write, but in board game form. And this is by Elizabeth Hargrave. She is the designer of Wingspan, and I think that she knocked it out of the park with this one as well. I love this. This one is very satisfying to me. I don't know what it is about rolling the dice and then like connecting the different icons to create these different genetics for these foxes. But basically in the game, you are trying to, I guess, like breed the best like genetics in foxes in order to gain the most victory points, and you're going to be rolling these dice that have these different genetics and gaining these genetics, putting them onto your board, filling them out on these different fox cards, and once you have like your baby foxes, they then become the next generation for you to draft, and then you're making baby foxes with those ones, and I just think it is so cool. I absolutely love the fox experiment, so that is why it is my number 9. All right, so moving into number 8, this is the cooperative one that I was talking about, and this game, I was actually not expecting much from this. This was a game that I was gifted by the publisher, The Op, and this is a game that I saw a little bit at Gen Con, and then they reached out and asked if I wanted to do some content on it. And this one, honestly, like when they first sent that email, I was like, yeah, sure, like it looks like a pretty cool game, but I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I love this game. The nice thing about this one is that it does play up to 6 players. You can also play it solo, which I still actually haven't played this solo, and I feel like I will enjoy it even more solo because it's this fantastic puzzle where you are trying to get all of these different stolen art pieces, I guess, back from this like white glove society. And like I said, it is cooperative, so you're working together. You're gonna be drafting these cards, and then each player is going to be discarding one of the cards and playing one of the cards, and those are going to be like resource conversion and putting out these different icons. If you ever get 3 of the same icon, then you're able to put that missing art piece or stolen art piece onto that specific part of the map. There are, I think, like 6 different maps you can play with. I've only played with one of the maps, which is insane. But the art project is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, it surprised me very, very much. And if anyone ever wants to play the art project, please let me know and I will bring it anywhere. I love this game. And like I said, it being a cooperative game in this list says a lot because I am usually not a fan of cooperative games. So yeah, this one's really, really fun. We've played it a few times with Francis' family, with some friends. So yes, that is the art project. Absolutely love this game. All right, so moving on to the next game. This is actually a game that I do not own, and I'm actually quite surprised that I do not own it yet because it is from a publisher that I love very much and is not a sequel to a game that I love, but just a game that is in the same world as another game that I love. But the game that I'm talking about is Expeditions. So this was a game published by Stonemaier Games that, like I said, I do not own, but we do have Scythe, and that is a game that I have really enjoyed in the past. I haven't played it in a while. Should probably play Scythe sometime soon. But Expeditions is a game that I've played quite a few times. I think I've played it 3 or 4 times now, and I really enjoy this game, and that is why it is my number, I think it's at number 7 now. Are we on number 7? I think we're on number 7. But that's why it's my number 7, because I really enjoyed it, and I'm quite surprised I haven't gotten it yet. But basically in Expeditions, it is nothing like Scythe, so do not go into it thinking like it's anything like Scythe. The only similarity that I can think of is the fact that you are going for these different goals. You're going to be placing these stars onto these different goals. In Scythe, you are trying to get a certain amount of these goals. I think it's the first person to get 5 of the goals kind of completes the game, and then you're going to get victory points based off of how many stars you have out and how like popular you are on the popularity track. Whereas in Expeditions, it's been a little bit since I've played Expeditions, but you are getting out these goals, which inside you are having to, or you're not having to go to a spot to put out these stars. When you get a particular goal, you're just putting it out right away. But in Expeditions, if you get a goal, one of those goals that you're placing a star on, you actually have to go to a certain location and perform an action in order to place a star out. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get these certain star actions, but you're trying to get those out. I can't remember if it's when someone like gets a certain amount of stars out, they trigger the end of the game, or if like there's another way to end the game. I completely forget, but yeah, in expeditions, you are going out with these mechs that you have. You only have one of them, and you're actually going out onto these different hexagons. The map is compiled of these hexagons that you're going to be flipping over as you explore them, kind of revealing more spots that you can go to for worker placement actions. There is a little bit of like tableau building, because there's a few different types of cards that you can obtain. There's ones that you're going to slip under the top of the board, ones that you're going to be slipping under the bottom of the board, and then you also have this cool mechanism where you have cards in your hand, but they're not really in your hand, they are just available on the left side of your board, and then when you use them from your hand, you place them on the right side of your board, and then you can actually obtain these different workers that you can then place onto these cards that allow you to do some sort of additional thing from those cards. You're doing different quests that have to be on particular numbered hexagons. But yes, that is why Expeditions is my number 7. Moving on to number 6. This is, I believe, the smallest box of all of them, and this is a game that unfortunately I did not enjoy solo as much. I do need to, granted, I need to try it out more solo, because I feel like it's a solo that you just need to practice and get better at. So I've only played this one solo. I played it a few times multiplayer, and that game is the White Castle. So this has gotten a lot of love in 2023. It has been on a lot of other people's lists, and for good reason. This is a fantastic game. It is in a small box, but there is quite a bit of game in here. Granted, you were only taking 9 turns for the entire game, so it's one of those games where you really have to be efficient with what you are doing on each turn, because each turn you are placing down one of your dice, and that die is going to get you different things. It's going to allow you to chain different things, do different actions, and you're going to be trying to chain as many things on a turn as possible to get the most out of each turn, because like I said, you only have 9 turns. I really love games with dice manipulation and dice worker placement, and this one is exactly that, where you're placing out these dice. You are drafting them from these 3 different bridges. There are red dice, white dice, and black dice. You're drafting one, and then depending on the number, you're going to place it on a spot. Either have to spend coins or you're going to gain coins, and then you're going to be able to do some sort of action, which then might trigger you to do another action and then another action, and you're just trying to do as much on your turn as possible to get as many victory points as possible. And it is wonderful. It's quick. It's pretty like simple to learn. I've never really had issues with teaching this one, and like I said, it's in a small box, so it's easy to take places. And I do need to try this again solo, because I do really want to love it solo. But yes, that is why the White Castle from Devere is my number 6. So moving into my number 5, it actually goes from the smallest box to the largest box. And this was a game that I was anticipating for a long time, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I love the theme of this game, and I really enjoy the gameplay of this game as well. And that game is Septima, or Septima, however you say it. Septima is my number 5. I do have the deluxe edition, which was gifted to me by Mind Clash Games, so a huge thank you to them. But Septima, like I said, was a game that I saw come out on Kickstarter, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need this game in my life. I did unfortunately skip it, but I was really, really thankful when Mind Clash reached out for me to do some content on it. So you guys would have seen some content on this. I've already talked about it a few times. I've already done a playthrough of it. I will possibly put it up here if you've not seen it yet, if I remember. Septima is a game all about building up your own witch coven, and it is a very big game. It does take a little bit to play. I will say the last game of this that I played at Level Up, and I think it took us like 3 hours, but granted that was at a convention where there's a lot of distractions. Also, it was new to 3 of the 4 of us, so everyone was kind of learning as we went. I did teach the game as well, so yes, it does take a while, but it doesn't take as long solo, and I really enjoyed it solo. I've also enjoyed it multiplayer as well, hence why it's on this list. But you're building up your witch coven. You're going to be simultaneously, everyone's going to pick a card. You're going to place that card down. If you ever match with someone, so if you perform the same action as someone, then you are going to be causing suspicion in the village. The townsfolk are kind of looking at you like you seem like you're witches. So you sometimes do want to do that because the action you get to do is a little bit stronger, or you get to do something additional, but you are going to be raising your suspicion, so you do want to try to get your suspicion down again and kind of avoid that suspicion. But you are trying to collect ingredients, brew these potions, heal the townsfolk that are injured or ill in the town in order to gain victory points. And you're going up a few different tracks and stuff, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful game. I love the way it looks. I love the way it plays. I love the theme. I love witch-themed games, so I definitely want to get more of those in the collection. I do have broom service up here, which you guys can see, but I do eventually want to get, what is it called? Witchstone, I think is the other witch-themed game that I would love. Let me know if you know of any other witch-themed games that I should check out. But there's also, Evenfall? I think there's Evenfall. I might be getting that too. So anyways, that is why Septima is my number 5. All right, so we're moving into the top 4. I have them over here. These are all fantastic games. I'm just gonna say that right now. Every single one of these 10 that I've talked about today, or technically 13, are fantastic games, and I will always want to play these games because there were some really good games in 2023, and I had a really hard time choosing the ones at the top of the list, including Septima, because that was in the top 5. But number 4 is going to be a game from Board and Dice, and that is Barcelona. So this was one that I kind of discovered. They did send this to me for review, so a huge thank you to Board and Dice. But this one was quite a surprise. I wasn't really like expecting much of it. I haven't really played a lot of the Board and Dice games, which I will say, Books of Time was also really close to being in this top 10, also from Board and Dice. So yeah, Barcelona was one that they came out with, and I'm like, oh, that looks like a, you know, a typical Euro that Board and Dice come out with. They're known for their T-series, but this one is from a designer named Danny Garcia, and I feel like he is kind of like a newer up-and-coming designer. He also designed Arborea that I talked about a little bit earlier today, but Barcelona is a fantastic game. There's a lot of chaining in the game. Basically, you're going to be pulling out 2 of these like people chips from a bag, and those people chips are going to be 2 different colors, and then you're going to be able to place them one on top of another onto an intersection on this Barcelona map. And basically wherever you place that pile of people is going to allow you to trigger a action in the row and the column that you placed it. Very, very cool. And then with those actions, you can then chain some stuff, and then you can also have an opportunity to build. So basically wherever you place those people, if you have enough people kind of around this building area in these different intersections, you're going to be able to discard those people of certain colors and then build a building there, and that building is going to belong to you. You're also going to be going up on a few different tracks. One track is going to manipulate the, each round there's going to be something that you're going to be scoring, and the one track on the side is actually going to be a multiplier. So the higher you get on that track, the bigger multiplier you're going to get for that round's specific goal, which I think is very cool. You also have your own personal player board where you're going to be putting out roads, you're going to be putting out intersections, different things like that. You're also going to be putting out a like trolley or like a train, I forget what they're called, tram maybe, but you're going to be able to place out that tram, move that tram around, drop off people, which are then going to allow you to do more actions, get more victory points. It is just so satisfying of a game. It is absolutely beautiful. Definitely recommend if you are into, you know, Euro style games with like chaining actions, I definitely recommend checking out Barcelona. It is wonderful, and that is why it is my number 4. Moving into number 3. So this is quite a fun game. We actually just recently played this, and I just love this game so much. It was a game that I was introduced to by my friend Kat, and I loved it so much the first time that we played it that I ended up purchasing myself. We played it again. We just played it recently again as well. And that game is Raising Robots. So this is a game that a lot of people have compared to Wingspan, which I can see it in small ways. Basically, you're building out this tableau of robot cards. There are a ton of different robots, and each of those robots are going to get you different abilities, different like conversion abilities that are going to let you convert different resources into different things, gaining victory points in different ways, and you're going to be placing them into 3 different rows. So that's really the only kind of similarity to Wingspan, is the fact that you're building them into the rows, and then whenever you do a certain action, if you choose to perform a certain action, you get to trigger all of the robots in that row. So that's a little bit of a similarity, but everything else is very different. I absolutely love, there's this like simultaneous, everyone's choosing 2 cards. There are 5 different actions that you can perform. You can perform upgrade, assemble, design, fabricate, and recycle. And you're going to be choosing 2 of those actions, and those actions are going to be connected to cards that are going to give you certain amounts of energy. And then there's going to be cubes that everyone are going to possibly be placing into a communal area. So you are going to have the power of the card that you place that action above, as well as any energy cubes that were placed in the center to the communal kind of board. You're going to get those as well. And the more energy that you have in each of these different actions, the better actions you can perform. You can upgrade your robots, and it is just such a, again, very satisfying, chainy game, which you guys can tell that's the kind of game that I love. There's just something about games where I can kind of like perform a turn and then just try to get so much out of that turn. It's just such a fun challenge that I continuously love time and time again in these types of games. So yes, Raising Robots is wonderful. I'm really happy that I got my own copy of it. It does play 1 to 6 players, so that is awesome that this can be played with 6 players, and because it is simultaneous, it doesn't take actually that long. Once you're going through all of the different actions and everyone knows the energy of each of their actions, everyone just kind of performs their things at the same time. I will say, if you do not like games that have like 0 player interaction, the only player interaction in this game is really the communal pool of energy, which you only reveal that at the starting of the round, and then everyone else just kind of puts their head down to their own board and they're doing all of their different things on their board, and there's not a lot of like player interaction. So if that's something that you don't enjoy, then I wouldn't recommend Raising Robots, but it's something I really enjoy, and I am excited to play more of it, and I'm also excited to play it solo. So that is why Raising Robots is my number 3. Moving into number 2. So this is not going to be a surprise to a lot of people. This is from a publisher that I absolutely love, and this is the second in a series from this publisher. I'm sure some of you might know what that is. I am really scared to put this one upright because it's just everything's gonna fall. The only thing with these games is I will say that the like inserts for these aren't great, and everything kind of just falls out. So I'm expecting that to happen now. Okay, we're fine. The game that I'm talking about that is my number 2 is Scholars of the South Tigris. So this is the second in the South Tigris series. First there was Wayfarers of the South Tigris, which I will say in 2022, Wayfarers of the South Tigris was my number 1. So will say that I still do think I like Wayfarers of the South Tigris better, but it's so close because I love this one as well. Obviously it is my number 2 this year, but yes, Scholars of the South Tigris is definitely a little bit more, I would say, procedural than Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Wayfarers, you can take a bunch of different paths, whereas in Scholars, you still can take different paths, but the things that you are performing and the things that you are trying to accomplish in the game, there is a definite like path to, you have to do this first, then this, then this, then this in order to get what you need. You're basically trying to translate these different scrolls. So you are trying to get these scrolls from one spot to another. Then you're trying to hire the translators in order to translate these specific scrolls. And then those specific scrolls are going to get you end game scoring. But I really, really love the one thing in this game that I think is the coolest thing ever is basically there is some like color theory, I guess, where you are using dice, which in the South Tigris series, the main mechanic for all 3 of the games is the like dice mechanism. There's like dice worker placement, there's dice manipulation, different things like that, but you are primarily using dice. and you are using the dice in this game. There's going to be different colors of dice. There's going to be the primary colors. There's also going to be the secondary colors, and you are actually going to be performing actions by combining 2 dice. You can also put workers on top of the dice in order to like change the color of the dice and manipulate the color combination and the color mixing that you're doing. But for example, you could put a red and blue die next to each other, and that would actually turn it into a purple action, and that is going to kind of determine the actions that you can do on the board. So I think that is just so cool and so unique. And me personally, I love color theory and stuff like that, so it was something that I really enjoyed in a game. So that is Scholars of the South Tigris. This again is one that I haven't played solo yet, but I really need to, so I will most likely be live streaming this solo at some point soon. But that is Scholars of the South Tigris, my number 2. All right, so moving into my number 1 game of 2023. This was a game that I was introduced to by my friend Daryl. We played it at his house. I played it with my friends Kat and Steph, and then I've also played it a few times with some other friends. I think we played it with our friends Tom and Asha, and they really enjoyed it as well. But this is such a good game. Oh my goodness. Obviously, it's a fantastic game because it is my number 1, and that game is Darwin's Journey, which honestly, judging by my first play of this, I will say the first play was not great, but the more that I've played this game, it has just shot up there. I freaking love this game. This is a fantastic game where you are, I guess, performing as Darwin, and you are going and you're discovering these different species. You're discovering different animals, reptiles, plants, and fossils. I think those are the 4 things in the 4 different like color categories, but you're going out and you're discovering those different species, and then you're putting them into you're documenting them in, like, I think it's the library. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know exactly like the theming of Darwin and what he did, but I know that he discovered things and he like did exploring and stuff. I don't know. But anyways, yes, it is primarily a worker placement game, and you're going to have workers, and I think this is my favorite part of it, where basically this kind of reminds me a little bit of in Wayfarers of the South Tigris, which I talked about a little bit. Basically, you have your dice workers, and you can actually manipulate what those dice workers can be used for. So for example, if you used a 1 or you rolled a 1, that would be a worker that you could use somewhere, and you have your caravan that you are going to be like changing what the 1 can be used for. Whereas in Darwin's Journey, you're going to have these little seals, these colored seals, and each worker is going to have a line of these colored seals. And the more seals of different colors you add to that worker, the more spots on the map the worker can be placed on. So there's like blue, so if that worker has a few blues, they could be placed onto the blue spot. And the more of those blue seals that you have on that specific worker, the stronger of action you can kind of perform with that worker. So really enjoy that part. You're also going up a bunch of different, or not really tracks, you're going through like a map and exploring. That's where you're going to be discovering these different species, placing them into your encyclopedia, I think, and then you're going to be putting them into the museum, like I said. You're also going to have your own like personal goals that you're then, when you achieve them, you can place them into your tableau in order to make you stronger in different ways. And there's just something about this game. I absolutely love the theming of it. I love the look of it. And we actually played with the expansion, which sadly I do not have, which makes me very sad. There was actually I'm so sad that I missed it. Someone posted on the Facebook Marketplace the like Kickstarter version of this that includes the expansion and all like the upgraded components. They put it on the Facebook Marketplace for 80 bucks, and I'm like, oh, I wish I got it, but it was sold by the time I messaged the guy. But yes. Also, I do want to say, this was gifted to me by my friend, Steph. So Steph, thank you so much. She gave this to me for my birthday. And I think at that time, I didn't think that this would be my like favorite game of 2023, but it ended up being my favorite. So yes, that is Darwin's Journey. That is my #1 game of 2023. Definitely recommend, if you haven't tried it already, to definitely do so. If you ever see me at a convention and you ever want to play Darwin's Journey, please let me know and I will play it with you. Honestly, any of these 10 games that I talked about today, even 13 games that I talked about today, I would love to play any of them with any of you anytime. So that is my #1. That is Darwin's Journey. All right, friends. So that is going to be everything for today's video. Those are my top 10 best 2023 heavy Euro-y game releases. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And yeah, my next video for this, I think, is going to be my top 10 new to me games in 2023. So these are not necessarily going to be 2023 releases, or actually they're not going to be games that were released in 2023. They're going to be games that were released any other time other than 2023, any time before 2023 that I played in 2023. So just new to me games. So I'm super excited to go through all of those because I played a lot of games in 2023. So that's going to be interesting. And then I will also have a video up on my Patreon sometime soon where I'm going to be ranking like tier list, you know, S, A, B, C, that kind of tier list. I'm going to be ranking all of my games that I played in 2023. So that'll be fun. I might actually make that into a live stream that is only available for Patreons and YouTube members. We will see. But that'll be sometime in March, hopefully, if not in early April, because March is pretty busy for me. I have some different things that I'm doing in March. But anyways, I am just yapping now. But thank you all so much for hanging out and watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And I love you guys so, so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.